Say friends, did you know that graphics cards are very expensive right now? I know, it's true. So what are we gonna do about it? I bought a Chromebook. Chromebooks have gotten pretty popular lately. A big part of this is being driven by US schools having the sudden need to buy very large numbers of very cheap computers. So if you don't know what these are, you can ask your kid about the one they used to call into gym class or whatever. But if you don't have any kids in school, first of all, congratulations. A Chromebook is Google's interpretation of a computer. It's a lot like a netbook. Basically, you start with a laptop computer, then you remove the DVD drive, most of the RAM, the hard drive, most of the processor, delete the right mouse button, cut the screen in half, shuffle the keyboard buttons, and replace the wide functionality of Windows with Chrome. You know, the web browser. Add all of that up, and what do you get? The future of gaming. So, here's the pitch. In 2020, they sold about 30 million Chromebooks, and in 2021, it's expected to be another 40 million, mostly to kids. By next summer, there's going to be about 100 million bored kids with a computer that is, well, a bad computer, but still plenty powerful compared to an old console like the first original Xbox One. Kids have plenty of time on their hands to play games, and for a lot of kids, their Chromebook is what they have. There's a huge potential for this platform to become the next Game Boy or Nintendo DS, but so far, I've never once heard of a major exclusive game being developed with Chromebooks in mind. So let's explore that. What will Chromebook's first major breakthrough game look like? Let's talk about what boxes a game will have to check to become Google's Mario, Minecraft, League of Legends, or Fortnite. Then we'll take a look at some games that already exist. So, SparkYo's game. Here's the baseline. 1. It needs to run well on low-end hardware. Buttery smooth motion or punchy action that just feels good to play. That means 2. It needs to be built from the ground up for ChromeOS. We'll talk more about this later, but an Android game from the Google Play Store or a hacked-in Steam game just isn't going to be well optimized for the platform. Also, if it's a phone game, then everybody will just play it on their phones instead. So the game needs a reason to exist on this platform. 3. Small file size. These low-end Chromebooks have almost no storage space and modern games are huge. For a game to even be installable by everybody, it absolutely cannot be bigger than 8 gigabytes, but smaller than 4 would be better. 4. Shareable. If you want kids to play your game, then it has to go viral. They need to find out about it and then like it enough to start pressuring their friends into playing it too. That means it has to be easy to pick up with an addictive, repetitive gameplay loop, strong multiplayer component, and enough variety that streamers can draw an audience and make a lot of money by continuing to play it. 5. Graphics need to be sharp, colorful, and work well at low resolutions. This means 3D graphics from about 15 years ago. So think along the lines of Halo, Battlefield 2, or World of Warcraft. Also, pretty much anything in 2D should be possible. So maybe it could be a fighting game or a puzzle game, old school RuneScape. Maybe somebody figures out how to turn StarCraft into a battle royale. 6. Finally, it needs to be designed to be played with a keyboard and mouse. There's a lot of Chromebooks out there with touchscreens, but they add to the cost, so you can't expect a school Chromebook to have one. Also, controller support is a great addition for any game, but good controllers are expensive, and they don't come with a Chromebook by default. It doesn't make very much sense to ask every kid to spend $70 to play a game on a $100 computer. So, with all that in mind, I've got Minecraft loading up in the background, I've got my $99 Black Friday Chromebook, let's drop in and get started. I had this whole Dr. Disrespect parody lined up, who's some 40-year-old dad streamer in a wig. I don't follow him, but he keeps showing up in my feed, and I saw he had this ridiculous background. So I wanted to pop up over the games and talk about them in real time, with the joke being you can't actually see what's going on because I'm taking the full middle third of the screen, and everything else is covered by this city. So I spent a half hour in Photoshop ripping off this overlay before deciding to click into one of his videos, and the video he decided to post, the video he got paid a whole lot of money to post, started out with 10 minutes of a screensaver, followed by this annoying pro wrestling style introduction video that just kept going and going and going. 20 minutes later, it was still going. When the guy finally showed up, he was just sitting there, not doing anything, kind of half muttering to a producer and occasionally reading chats from anybody who paid him $100. It was boring. I was bored because sitting there and doing nothing for 20 minutes is boring. So I'm cutting all of this. You just need to know 2 things. First, it took a real 15 minutes just to open Minecraft and load into world map. Second, this background is stupid. So let's just look at the games. Yeah, Minecraft isn't even close to being loaded. Okay, here we are in the Java edition of Minecraft. I've loaded up a single-player survival world. The resolution is the native 1366 by 768, and I'm recording using an external capture card to take the load off of the Chromebook. I couldn't get my capture card to work correctly with the HDMI audio, and my PC's analog input didn't want to play nice with the Chromebook's combination headphone microphone jack. I think it has something to do with audio ducking in OBS. So while there's some occasional audio lag, it sounded a lot better than what I was able to record. I've installed this version of Minecraft by using the Chromebook's Linux support. Linux wasn't user-friendly to set up, but reasonably straightforward. It involved a couple console commands, enabling GPU hardware acceleration, and allocating about half of the available storage space to Linux, which was around 10 to 15 gigabytes. I've gone through the basic troubleshooting and set all this up to the best of my ability using the video drivers that are basically there by default. I think everything is set up correctly, but the performance is a lot worse than I expected it to be. I want to open up the FPS counter, but the Chromebook doesn't have any function keys, so I can't do it. Let's see if there's any more settings that we can turn down. Yeah, it looks like there's a couple. We can turn down chunks, bitmap level, and biome blend. I think we've got it about as low as we'll go. Let's give that a shot. I guess it needs to load back into the world. And it crashed. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, I know it's kind of a waste of time to show you all this sped up instead of just cutting it entirely, but I'm really trying to make a point on how slow Minecraft loads on this computer. I thought I opened the single player world from before, but I guess not. There's a lot of lag after you try to click. This server list wasn't here before. Okay, sorry if this is painful, but let's try again. And it crashed again. Okay, I'm just gonna cut to when I get it back working. Okay, I got an external keyboard, so now I can show you the frames per second. It's kind of been bouncing around. It hasn't been very consistent at all. It's acting like maybe it's a driver issue. It might be RAM, but I don't think it should be out of RAM. It looks like 2 or 3 FPS at the lowest, and the highest I've seen is 10 or maybe 12. I was expecting this to be running somewhere in the 20 to 30 FPS range, so this is not meeting my expectations. So I think you get the idea. Let's check out the next game. The next 3 games are all launched from Steam, but I can't even get the Steam store to scroll smoothly, which isn't a good sign. So the first Steam game is Counter-Strike Source. I was hoping to get Team Fortress 2 running at around 30 FPS on lowest settings, because I've been able to get that game playable on laptops with worse hardware than this one. But apparently Team Fortress 2 has gotten so bloated that there isn't actually enough space on this entire Chromebook to install it. So Counter-Strike Source is going to be the stand-in. It's from 2004 and it's a simpler game, so I think there's a good chance we'll at least have some option for a multiplayer shooter on this Chromebook. So I'm running the video stress test on its lowest settings. I can already tell that Counter-Strike is running a lot better than Minecraft. Still not great though. The FPS counter is bouncing around a lot. Spending some time on green, which would be a playable 30 FPS, but spending a lot of time in the red too, which is below 25 FPS. Oh, that fire effect made it stutter a little bit. I'm still playing on the native resolution of the monitor, because I want all of the games to be on equal footing there. It actually still looks pretty good for being on lowest settings. I wish there were more options that I could turn down. I just wish the game were a little bit smoother. So the average frames for this run is 21.1. I ran it again with an average of 22.03. That was just a stress test though. Maybe it'll be okay in a real match. I'll just load one up with the bots real quick. Okay, this is way worse than the stress test. Low FPS, stuttering, and I know you can't see input lag, but it's super bad. This is totally unplayable. I can't even navigate this hallway. I'm having a hard time pointing the character in the direction I want to go, and it's easily over a second between input and action. Alright, well enough of this. Let's go try the next one. Prison Architect. Small scale, slow paced, 2D simulation game. It looks like a Flash game and it runs like a Flash game, so what could be easier to get running? Well, the start menu isn't going so well, hashtag Windows 11, but I guess it's a big prison with a lot going on. Let's see if we can turn down the graphics. There's not really anything that can be changed except for resolution, and that's the one thing I want to keep constant. Let's start up a small prison and check it out on an empty map. Okay, the frame rate already isn't smooth. That doesn't matter much in a game like this though. But control lag, again. You might actually be able to see the lag this time. Look at the mouse and see how the lines I'm drawing are behind it. It feels like I'm fighting the game, and it's just off. I wouldn't enjoy playing Prison Architect like this. Alright, let's see what's next. Oxygen Not Included, another 2D simulation that has a lot more going on than Prison Architect, but it's from a team who's better at optimization, so let's see. This is as far as I can get into Oxygen Not Included. The rest of the games from here on out are downloaded from the Google Play Store, so they're basically the Android version of the game. First up is Minecraft Education Edition. We're off to a good start, the menu is working normally and it looks like there are multiple control options. I don't know how to start new worlds, so let's try Hour of Code 2021. Okay, this is a little weird. How do I press this button? There's all these controls on the left, but none of them say press button. There we go. It was right click.
Minecraft presents Timecraft.
The world is taking a bit to load in. This could go a little better.
Alright, I have absolutely no idea what this thing is or what's going on. Looks like everything is still sort of loading in slowly here. Maybe it's a rocket ship. Oh, now it says welcome.
The movement's okay. Not the smoothest, but no major lag. It's a night and day difference from the Java version. Overall, this is pretty serviceable so far. This is some kind of guided tutorial or lesson, so it's not really what I'm used to Minecraft being, but the performance is totally workable. This is about how I expect Minecraft to run on this system. I can probably tweak it a bit more too. I think I forgot to turn off fancy graphics, so assuming there's an actual way to play Minecraft normally in this version, then I'd say we'd finally have a mostly playable game on our hands. Let's try another one. Next we have Angry Birds 2, a colorful 2D mobile game that's been around forever. This is as far as I could get into Angry Birds 2.
Chromebook spoken feedback is read. Exited full screen.
I tried a lot of buttons.
Entered window overview mode. Swipe to navigate. Or press tab if using a keyboard.
Among Us, a 2D multiplayer game that would be a perfect fit for Chromebook. This is as far as I could get into Among Us. Game Dev Tycoon. This is as far as I could get into Game Dev Tycoon. Retro Bowl. Yeah, none of these Android games work without a touchscreen. Grand Theft Auto 3. Let's try to end this on a high note. I'm happy to say that the game loads and you can at least control the menu with the keyboard. It's loading in a reasonable amount of time. Please forgive the dropping audio. That's a problem with how I'm trying to capture the game. Anything that isn't loud enough is getting dropped entirely, but trust me, it sounds fine through the Chromebook's built-in speakers. It's better to have no audio here than what I actually ended up with. I have no problem with the game's performance in the cutscenes, so let's jump forward into the game.
I know a place on the edge of the red light district where we can lay low, but my hands are all messed up, so you better drive, brother.
Okay, not too bad. The lighting is a little weird on those trees, but no major graphics problems so far. Let's try and figure out these controls. WASD walks around. You can see that there's still icons on the screen for touch controls. The mouse isn't doing anything, so I can't click on them or use it to move the camera. Okay. I don't know how to move the car. There's the gas. So all the actions are mapped to different number keys. It's very awkward, so I'm not doing very well. I would say the game fails the keyboard and mouse test, but at least it's running okay, and I think it would be playable with a controller. That's all the gameplay I have, so let's go back to the studio and wrap up. I would say those results speak for themselves, but I was talking the whole time, so maybe not. So, let's have a chat about expectations and conclusions. Obviously, nobody expected to see Battlefield 2042 or Halo Infinite running on a Chromebook. What I had hoped we would see is Team Fortress 2 at a playable frame rate on lowest settings. It's a 14-year-old game that I've definitely played on worse hardware than this, but apparently this game has gotten so bloated I can't even install it on this Chromebook without an SD card. So I use Counter-Strike Source as a stand-in. It's an even simpler game from 2004, which I fully expected to be playable, but the horrible variation in the frame rate suggests that this isn't really an issue with the hardware being too weak. I consider Prison Architect to be a simple game, so I expected it to run well. And it sort of ran, but it didn't feel good. I thought the simulation and oxygen not included might be a bit much for this CPU, but I at least expected the game to launch. The issue here isn't just that the games ran poorly on a system that absolutely was not designed to run games. It's that the games are running way worse than they should have been. Odds are there's some issue with the video drivers, or maybe with how ChromeOS runs Linux software in general. The Steam launcher didn't even run well. I think Valve knows about these issues for two main reasons. First is that there's no Steam launcher on Chromebooks. There is a Steam Link app, but it's not the same thing. Getting Steam running on this thing was a hassle, and they don't really want you to do it. Second is that there's a rumored effort named Borealis, where Valve and Google are supposedly working together to build more or less a game mode that will let Steam apps run better on ChromeOS. Also, the rumors are that they've been having a ton of problems getting it working and that they keep pushing the project back. If that ever comes together, it's not going to be targeted at cheap Chromebooks like this, so don't count on Borealis to swoop in and save the day. Another interesting point of evidence is Minecraft. I expected Minecraft to run at 20 frames per second and that maybe we'd get a smooth 30 if I tweaked and fought for it, and the version of Minecraft I installed from the Play Store met those expectations. But the Java edition running the Linux development environment ran way worse. It was about a third the frame rate of the version that was actually intended to run in ChromeOS. So there's something going on behind the scenes here. On the other hand, the Google Play Store has its own issues. I absolutely expected Among Us to run on this Chromebook. That game has a PC version that doesn't require touch controls, which I couldn't install because the thing I needed to try playing a Windows game in Steam on Linux through ChromeOS needed a couple gigabytes of storage space that this Chromebook just doesn't have. So there wasn't space for that. And look, I totally get that something like Angry Birds is a touch-only game, and a lot of Chromebooks have touch controls. But the problem is that the Google Play Store doesn't tell you if these apps will work without a touchscreen. I can't find a search filter, and I couldn't find anything about input on the app pages. So Google just throws all these tablet and phone apps together in an app store, where I assume there are also some Chromebook apps, but 3 out of 5 of these apps I tried couldn't even navigate a menu. I don't like that. I feel like I'm the dummy for not being able to find the Chromebook button or whatever, but Google definitely knows I'm using this exact model of Chromebook. I'm pretty sure they even told me what I was using in one of those privacy permissions request mandatory pop-up things the first time I logged in. Okay, well, looking past gaming, what do I think of the HP 11A model number Chromebook itself? I don't know about you guys, but I'm having a bit of a disappointing week, so let's try to think positively. Who is this Chromebook for? Before that, here's a list of some negative things, most of which are completely expected from any cheap laptop. Also, here's the webcam. It's not very good. What is user experience like if you just want a web browser, a couple of built-in Google apps, and maybe to even subscribe to your new favorite YouTube channel? You don't need a lot of software, and you don't feel like doing any work. So Mom, I have this Chromebook. Do you want it for Christmas? I have to say that in terms of first impressions, for a $100 netbook, this computer absolutely hit it out of the park. This is my first experience with ChromeOS, but I've tried maybe 4 or 5 cheap Windows-based netbooks, and as a basic internet box, this absolutely blows all of those out of the water. Sure, Windows has more software, but that stuff runs so poorly on a Windows netbook that it's unusable, so we're not talking about that here. Emailing, interneting, YouTubing, typing things. Things your phone can do better, except when you need a keyboard instead of a small touch screen. For one thing, it has better battery life than my phone. The textured dark gray plastic is one of the better finishes I've ever felt on a cheap laptop. I don't think it needs or even has a cooling fan. The keyboard has the Chrome layout, which is a little different, but fine, and the trackpad is fine. Actually, the trackpad is way better than what you might have expected on a laptop like this, say 5 years ago. So in the face of a lot of things that would normally stop a spec-obsessed hardware nerd like me from enjoying a computer like this, I still kinda like it. For $100, with the right expectations, it's totally usable, even kinda good. Give it a shot if you could use it. Now, should you get this over a tablet with a keyboard? Well, if you can get a decent 10-inch tablet with a keyboard for $100, then yeah, you should probably get that instead. But I don't think you're going to be able to find a good enough tablet for $100. We're talking the ballpark of an Amazon Fire HD 10 or better, so good luck. All that brings me to another point, which I really wish I didn't have to bring up here. Trying to be positive. But you can't actually buy this Chromebook for $100 anymore. Because okay, this was an early Black Friday deal. I knew it was going to sell out by the time I could get the video up. I'm just not that fast. But what I didn't expect was that this Chromebook would only be sold out for like 2 days before Best Buy would delete it from their Black Friday website and then relist it in stock for $260, which is $40 more expensive than the list price of this Chromebook from Black Friday of last year, which was further marked down to $150. So now my fun Black Friday 2021 deals video about gaming on an ultra cheap laptop is about a laptop that is more expensive than what I consider to be full price or even a fair price. Because for me personally, I believe that the price of a rock bottom low-end computer should go down as it becomes older and more obsolete, not up. So, thank you Best Buy. Should you buy the HP 11A model number for $260? No, absolutely not. Not worth it. If you're looking at a Chromebook in the $300 range, I have my eye on an Acer Chromebook Spin 514. More storage, better processor, 1080p touchscreen. And at this point, I don't think I would buy another Chromebook without a touchscreen. So there you have it. That's all the positivity I have for today. I sure hope we had fun. Thanks everybody, and be sure to get jiggy with it.